Are we live? I think we are live. Let's see if anybody's here yet. Let's see. I think we're live. Yay. Hey, Taylor. I'm not sure if it's going to be anybody else, but we are going to go ahead and start. I think my sound and everything is good. Let me know if you can't hear me. But welcome to the first episode of Blueprint DIY Becoming a Renegade. Today, we are going to be talking about the topic for today is inspired but afraid. And my question for today is, why are we so afraid of an inanimate object like cloth, that we would bottle up our inspiration and cower before it? You know, it's the question that I get most often. Quote from the live stream on Saturday, and I knew I was going to get that question, is, or that comment, that I buy things to upcycle, then I get nervous when it's time to begin. And it was seconded by another viewer. So I wanted to talk about this because it just seems to affect so many people, and it affects me. Like, people think that because I've done so many projects that it doesn't affect me. Like, my whole channel is a experiment, or not experiment, but a leap of my own faith, stepping out and just, in spite of my fear, stepping out and doing these things that I'm very afraid to do. But the thing is, like, why are we so afraid of cloth? Like, it's just cloth. But I think that it's more than the cloth. We're actually afraid to fail. And the thing about it is that it doesn't help that when we were growing up, our parents were like, don't mess up your clothes. You're a little kid scooting across the floor. Don't mess up your clothes. Don't get those clothes dirty. Don't put a hole in those pants. Especially as girls, you're supposed to stay nice and prim and proper. And when we get ready to take scissors to a piece of cloth or a piece of actual clothing, like, I think if we had like just fabric, we would be way more willing to cut that than we would an actual piece of clothing. I think it just strikes fear, a lot because of, us wanting to stay prim and proper as girls. That's what we were taught. But it also, a big part of it has to do with a fear of failing. So, today we're going to talk about that, it's not just the cloth. It's that we're afraid to fail. So I have 3 tips that I'm going to give that will help us to get to the next step, as far as upcycling and life in general. The question is, how do I get over my fears to start allowing my creativity to flow to get some of these projects done? So number 1, and I said it in our live stream on Saturday, we're going to start small. We're going to do the projects that we feel comfortable doing, and we're going to get those out of the way first. And the thing I want everyone to remember is that starting small matters, because if you, like, some people are like, well, I know how to do that, but we want to go ahead and do those things because it matters. I think about my own projects and how when I first started, it took courage to do those projects, but one project led to another project a little bit bigger, and that project led to another project a little bit bigger. And so it matters to do the project that you think is simple and silly. And I think that, we want to do big things, but we haven't started with the small things. Do the small things, they matter. And just on a personal note, these small projects that I do right now that, we may think of them like it's just Why should I worry about my fears as far as cutting some clothes? But when my husband passed away, there were a lot of projects. I mean, around that time, a lot of things started breaking. Like the AC in the truck didn't work, and I live in Houston, and it gets really hot in the summertime. You need AC in your car. My dryer broke, my microwave broke, and dryer and the microwave both broke while he was still in the hospital. And these are things that I would have normally relied on him for. And so my courage, the courage that I had gained in doing these little projects, these little things as far as like redesigning clothes, aided me when it came to that. I fixed all three of those things by myself, and I'm very proud of myself, but I don't think I would have had the courage to do them if I hadn't started on some simple things, like clothes. So I say start small, because you don't know what the future holds. You, good or bad, you don't know what the future holds. You don't know this inspiration that you're bottling up. You don't know what it's for. You don't know where it'll take you. So start someplace, just start, because one thing will lead to another thing, and will lead to another thing, and will lead to another thing. The next thing I want us to remember is to keep things in perspective. Like I said before, this may be a small thing, but it will lead, I believe, it will lead to other things. For me, inspiration is not something that comes, it doesn't originate from me. So if I'm getting inspiration for a piece, and we may think, it's simple, it's small. But yes, work on that simple or small thing, because you don't know where it's going to lead. These things, and then also, as you keep it in perspective, it's just a piece of cloth. It's just clothing. Be willing to cut it up. Be willing to fail. Be willing to mess it up. You don't know, whether that mess up is going to actually turn out to be something amazing. And that's actually my third point, is that failure is relative. It's very relative. There have been projects that I've worked on that I felt like I failed, but when people saw the project, everybody raved about it. And I was just like, oh, I thought that was a complete failure. And there have been other things, I kid you not, that I have not posted because I'm like, that I don't like it, that's silly. And then like the next season, I'll either see it on a runway or I'll see it on a celebrity. And I'm just like I could have been the first one to put that out there, and not that like the world would have noticed, but I would have had the gratification, like, I did that last year, but when you doubt yourself, when you think everything that you do is a failure, you never give yourself the opportunity to succeed. So I think probably about half the projects that I do, even the ones that I put on YouTube, I think to myself like, this might not be so good. And even the things that may not be so good, because it's relative, at least one person be like, oh, that was my favorite one. And I'm like, really? Of course I don't say that out loud, but I just say thank you. But in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, so what you consider a failure is somebody else's success. So you don't want to take that away from the world, because as we are inspired, we have to channel those things and, put them out into the world. They're for a purpose. So, that is what I have. My advice to anyone who is inspired to do an upcycle, but they are afraid. Be afraid and do it anyway. We wait for fear to go away in order for us to do anything. And the fact is that fear is human. We're going to be afraid, but be afraid and do it anyway. Tell your fear, so what? So what? Yes, I'm afraid to upcycle. I'm afraid to do whatever, I'm inspired to do, whatever is in my heart to do. but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to step out and I'm going to do it anyway. And that would be my advice for anybody that's afraid to start upcycling. Do it anyway. Cut it, rip it, paint it, whatever you are inspired to do, do it. And do it to completion. Don't just start it and say, oh, it's not turning out good. Do it to completion. If you think that halfway through it's going awry, reevaluate, think of something else, but do it to completion. And that's the only way you're going to get those things out. I told you guys in my 6-year anniversary video that when I first started this channel, before I started this channel, I was inspired to do this channel, but I was suppressing it. Like, I was too scared to do it, and it was making me physically sick. And so I just think that if we bottle up inspiration, and even now, if I let my projects pile up, I feel, I don't know, there's something that I just feel inside me. It's just like everything is suppressed. And it's not until I let the creativity and inspiration out by doing the projects one by one. I just take one. I get overwhelmed easy, so I can't think about all the projects at once. But once I just take one project, it's like a weight is lifted. So we can't let those projects pile up, and they do, but just take one at a time as you have time and do those projects so that they don't pile up. And that's all I have for today. I hope this has been helpful. Today, I think we just have Taylor, but this will be in our playlist for anybody who weren't able to make it today, or anybody who joins the Becoming a Renegade Club after now. So I hope this has been helpful. Taylor, if you have any questions, definitely let me know now. I don't want to keep you guys too long, but maybe I can get Charlie in. He fell asleep last time for our live stream. Charlie, maybe I can get him in today. But if there are no questions, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Oh, here he comes. He's gonna give us our Charlie wink. Come here. You gonna do your wink? Come on this side.
This side?
Mm-hmm.
Right here?
Right here.
Mom.
Say hi.
Hi.
The camera's right there.
Wait. Oh.
Say hi. All right. Say see you next time.
See you next time.
Do your wink. All right. Bye-bye.